Welcome to Roots and Resilience. I'm Dr. Tejal.
And I'm Dr. Nehal. We have had some incredible conversations with inspiring individuals that we feel compelled to share with you all.
Listen with an open mind and an open heart. You never know, you might just pick up a pearl that might spark something in you.
Enjoy.
Welcome to a very special episode of Roots and Resilience. This episode has been inspired by Nehal's recent experience on a 10-day silent retreat called Vipassana. So before we get into it, Nehal, let's just take a minute or less than a minute to have a really slow, deep breath. Ready? Three, two, one.
You look like you're doing Vipassana right now.
Okay, how are you feeling?
Good. I'm really excited for this episode, actually. Well, you know what? Do you remember on the drive back on Sunday? So I finished Vipassana, everyone, 3 days ago on Sunday. I was driving back from Herefordshire, and there was a part of me that thought, do you know what? I'm not going to speak about my experience. It's so personal. And then so many people that had told were messaging me, being like, "Are you okay? How was it?" Were really interested. And then I thought, no. And then we talked about having a conversation, recording a podcast, and here we are. So I'm very excited to share.
How were you feeling on that car journey back?
I think I felt different. And I will caveat this whole episode by saying Vipassana is an amazing experience, and because everyone has a different mind with different impurities in them, your experience will be totally different. So, whatever I share today is my own personal experience. And say, if you are going on a Vipassana retreat soon or want to maybe do one in the future, your experience may be totally different. You might feel totally different things. So, that is one thing I will say before we start talking about the retreat.
Okay. Right, I'd love to go into it a bit later on about you said you felt different, but let's reel it back to what inspired you to do it in the first place.
Yeah, that's a really good question and one that's come up so much from lots of people. Why did I do this? Why did I do this madness, some may call it, of submitting yourself to 10 days of silence? So that's not speaking to anyone, meditating. And when I say meditating, I mean majority of the day meditating for 10 days in silence. Why did I do this? So I had been toying with this idea for about 2 to 3 years. It was always on my, imaginary vision board. And every year, the exercise we do, looking back, looking forward, that we do at the end of the year, I would always put Vipassana as one of the things that I wanted to do that year, that following year. And it came to a point where I realized if I don't do this now, I don't know when I'm going to do it because it's quite hard to get a patch of time of 10 days and be in a position in your life where it's okay not to be contactable by anyone and to go away and do this, something completely for yourself. So it was something I always wanted to do, not because I'm a super meditator. In fact, I'm a complete novice to meditation, but because I had heard of the benefits of it and I thought I would love to try that. My second reason, one thing I'm really passionate about, and I've always said since a young age, when I say young age, probably like, late teens, 20s, my mind is my most powerful asset. And I want to master my mind because otherwise it will master me. And in pursuit of mastering my mind, I realized I need to try these things, which have been, proven and shown results for people coming out stronger and better, a better version of themselves. So that was important to me. The third reason was I had chosen the word bold as my word for 2026. And that's another part of the looking back, looking forward exercise. And I thought, do you know, I really feel ready this year that I want to do this. And I had, as part of planning for this, Vipassana dates for the courses are already online. Even for 2027, the dates are online. So you've got ample of time to check which dates work for you. So I had my eyes set on these dates last year. So there was a lot of behind the scenes preparation that went on to make this happen. But ultimately, I wanted to do something for me to master my mind.
Wow. And just to put this into context, we've mentioned it's a 10-day silent retreat, and I think you touched on it, but I think we need to put it into context what it actually means. You basically have to surrender all your devices, including your Whoop band, which you didn't realize would count as a distraction. And you're essentially totally cut off from the outside world. You're in a bubble for 10 days. Is there any, there's no, well, and also your meals are at particular times. You're on a program essentially for 10 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
So
there
I think
anything else
that's
that, just for anybody who's never heard of this concept before, like just set the scene a little bit?
so the week before, or earlier before, I messaged, people close to me saying I'm, not going to be around for the 10 days because I'm going on a meditation retreat. Wrong. Meditation course. It's hard work. Now, yes, the reason it's so important that all these devices are taken away is because we want to limit the distractions. So you are essentially in the same place for 10 days. Don't speak to anyone unless obviously you have a problem. You can speak to the manager, or if you have a question, you can ask the teacher. But you're not speaking to the other meditators who are on the course with you. And for the ladies, there's around, I would say around 70 of us. So that's surrendering your phone, any electronic devices. The watch I was wearing was a simple analog watch. You get your meals provided. You are there with the intention to stay for the full 10 days. Some people do leave, which we can talk about later. But that essentially is Vipassana, a meditation course to practice the technique of Vipassana.
Okay, and so knowing what you did, what were your feelings on the way there? Because it's a bit of a drive. It's in, whereabouts was it exactly?
So the center that I did my course at was Thammadiepa, which is in Herefordshire. But they have another center called Thammadusakari, which is in another area of England. So those are the two centers in England.
Fine. And so, right, all you set everything in motion. You got the time off work. You booked, you basically made the arrangements you needed to do to make it happen. Which, by the way, I think is a huge benefit of doing these reflection exercises that we absolutely love doing at the end of every calendar year, to reflect on the year gone, and to make goals and visualize your year ahead. And so I guess having put that on your exercise, when we did that exercise and you've had it on repeatedly, it's kind of always been on your radar for a while,
Yeah, I had to do it. Otherwise, when will I do
and then you
anything?
pushed yourself to make it happen. So well done for that. But equally, not having done anything before, and I want to just emphasize, Nehal does a lot of good well-being things for herself, but meditation and silence is not one of them at all. So what were your thoughts as you're driving up there?
Do you know, I was actually quite nervous about the drive. The drive was around, 2.5 hours. And it wasn't the distance I was worried about. I was worried about more the micro aspects that, oh, I'm driving an electric car. Like, will I need to charge it? There's like these lanes I need to go down at the end of close to the end of the journey. And I was worried about all these aspects. I wasn't at that point worried about the fact that I'm going to have to be in silence for 10 days. And I actually found the silence okay, because I enjoyed just being with myself. But I was worried about those kind of things. And when I actually got there, honestly, when they did like the orientation, I just wanted to leave. Like when they did the
Why?
introduction, I wanted to leave. I was
Why?
like, I think it hit me then that I wouldn't be seeing my family for 10 days. I would have no contact with them. And that was really hard. And especially like not seeing my partner or, my husband, who I see every day and I've never been away from him for like 10 days solidly. That was really hard. And I think it all became really real in that moment that, oh my goodness, I am doing this. And I almost wanted to say, can I go now? But I'm really determined. And I was like, no, I have to stay and see this through. So I think that's when it became really real, when you like go into your room and you set up your room and you have a room for 10 days and you put your bedding on and you get to talk to the other like meditators on the course with you when you go there. And there's some old students that have done the course before, some new students, majority new students. Everyone's feeling a bit nervous. Some people, have no idea what to expect. Well, most of us. So yeah, one girl actually I spoke to, she was like, "Gosh, this feels like boarding school, the first day of boarding school." And I thought that's a very good analogy. Um, so yeah, that's when it really hit me that yeah, what on earth have I signed up to?
I think it's also the element of being outside your comfort zone where your brain is just desperately trying to keep you safe and keep you in familiar territory, and you are in absolute uncharted territory. So I can imagine there was definitely this mental game of, oh, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, and then part of you, that determined part of you, is like, nope, you signed up to this, you got to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you got there and you set up and everything, at what point do you hand over your phone, and what did that feel like?
So when you get there, you get there, by the evening, you have a, light supper together, and then you have they give you a time by which you need to put your phone in the locker and lock all your valuables away. So I would say, late evening, you've handed your phone away. So about 7 or something like that. You've given your phone away and that's it.
How
And
did you feel the minute you locked it up?
I locked it up, and then I remember I had spoken to mum, dad, I'd spoken to my husband, but I didn't manage to get through to you. So I went back to the locker and I opened up the phone and I switched it on. And still, like I could see that you had, you were busy. So I was like, oh, she must be with a patient or she's on clinic. So I was like, it's fine. And then it was really funny because I ended up opening a WhatsApp from my husband, and he was like, "This is going to be the first message you read when you're finished." And it was like a really nice message. And I was like, "Oh, yeah." I opened my phone again, and he was like, "Oh my God!" So then I
Oh,
switched the phone off, and I was like, "Let me put it in. Let me put it back." But everyone found that bit really hard. You could see people really holding on to their phones until like the last minute and then locking them away. But honestly, it was amazing not
so
to
is it
be
something that you
connected.
get eased into, or when the program starts, you're like thrown and chucked into the deep
Oh,
end?
that's it. You're chucked into the deep end. The next morning, 4:30, 4 a.m. gong, 4:30 a.m. you start. So you're straight into it. And the timetable of the course is online, so you know what you're going to be doing. There's in, when I say you're straight away thrown into it, I say timetable wise, but technique wise, there is a very structured way of introducing the technique, which makes it suitable for new meditators, and also is a good refresher for maybe previous students that have come back. So you don't start the Vipassana technique on day one. On day one, you're breathing in and out. And it sounds really simple, breathing in and out, but I promise you it's not. Because, for example, breathing in and out, I would be saying in my head, in, out, in, out. And even that verbalization is a distraction. So you genuinely want to be just breathing in and out and observing your breath with no other thoughts. Now, of course, it's natural to have thoughts that will come and you might follow that train of thought for a while during your meditation, but you want to bring yourself quickly back to focusing your mind on your breath. So, in terms of the technique, it's really well structured in how they introduce it. So, you actually learn the Vipassana technique on day 4, and then you build on that basically.
So day one, did you find that thing time was going really slowly, or like how, you're having to be silent and everything? Did you ever feel like you wanted to speak at any point, or did you were you finding it boring because it was not because of the sudden lack of stimulation from what you're used to day to day? Like what was how did it that transition on day one into when you started? Like what was happening for you then?
Do you know, there was a period of time during the course where I used to label each day with an adjective because I was like, when I come out of this course, I want to like tell my family that day 1 was this, day 2 was this, day 3 was this. And then it got to day 5 and I couldn't keep track of the adjectives. But I remember day 1, the adjective was horrid. It was horrible. Day 1 was horrid.
Why?
And
Why?
it was horrid because it was the first day where A, you're silent. B, you don't have any mode of communication. You can't talk to anyone. You can't read anything. You can't write anything.
Right, so you couldn't
You
journal or anything
you
like that. You
can't
couldn't.
journal. You
Right.
can't write. You can't do any of that. You are thrown into meditation. And for me, who, doesn't really sit still a lot and doesn't really know how to be, it was really tough. So day 1, I genuinely wanted to leave. And the other thing was I was really, really missing my family. And I remembered crying to the teacher, being like, I'm really missing my family. And my teacher was like, they're fine. If there was an issue, you would know. Because of course, they'd call the center and they'd let me know kind of thing. And very rational response. But day 1 I found really hard. And I think day 1 I had thoughts of leaving, day 2 I had thoughts of leaving, but then day 3 got a bit better. And I think I got used to it.
So when you had these thoughts of leaving, what made you stay?
Listen, I'm going to be really honest. This was the first time in my life I signed up for something just for me. And I was like, I am not leaving. I am determined to stay this out and stick this out for 10 days because the people I'd spoken to that had completed Vipassana had found benefit. And they were like, it's amazing. I felt so light after. And I was like, surely there must be a method to this madness. And I was like, I have to see this through. And I'm really determined. Like I will find a way to get through. But it took like I hung in there like my nails dug in because I there were so many times I wanted to leave. And the thing is, when you're in that meditation hall, so every day you have 3 group sittings where you meditate in the Dhamma hall, which is the main hall. So the women are on one side, and then there's aisle in the middle, and the men are on the other side. And you're all given a set meditation seat. So my spot was on the back row, so I could see all the meditators in front of me, right? And it starts becoming your home. Like, you've arranged your cushions in a certain way, like that's your
So are
spot.
you sitting on the you're sitting on the floor, right? You're not
Yeah.
on a
So
chair.
there's cushions, but there are chairs on the side. So if there's people who may have a physical issue like knee problems or are unable to sit, they can request a chair, and they were sitting on the chair. So there's a different range of cushions that they have there, so different thicknesses, different sizes. So I literally had a whole range, and I just created some form of station for myself. But every day when you go for that sitting, you might see an empty spot and you think, oh, where's that lady? There was a lady that was not straight in front of me, but just front, one row in front to the left. And day 3, she wasn't there. And I was just thinking, I hope she's okay. And you start being worried about your fellow ladies. You're like, I hope they're okay. Maybe she's just missed this one. Maybe she's not
So
feeling well.
so if
You
it's
know,
not, if it's turning into something that that's becoming overwhelming, difficult, or for whatever reason, you can leave if you must.
yeah, of course, no one's going
Right.
to force you to stay
Yeah.
there. And
Okay.
I know I've heard that people do leave, and I think about in total maybe 4 or 5 people left, which is actually quite low.
Hmm.
Um, But, obviously there might be an emergency or you feel like this is just absolutely not for me. They do encourage you to experience the full benefits. You need to stay there for the 10 days. And having been through it, day 9 was my, okay, I understand why I'm here. For other people, talking to them at the end, it was day 6 or day 8. Like for everyone, it was really different. But yeah, so you would actually go to the hall and be like, oh, that spot's empty. And then suddenly a spot on my row, someone, had left, and you just think, oh, they've gone now. So in that perspective, it's very easy to be like, oh, that person's left, I can leave too. You have to
Hmm.
really be determined that I'm here to see this out.
And how many hours a day were you meditating?
Oh, good question. So in the timetable, I want to say it's either 8, 9, 10 hours of meditation planned in the timetable. It's all online, so head over to the Vipassana website to see the
Fine,
timetable. Um,
fine.
but yeah, like a big chunk of the day, not all in one sitting. Obviously, you have lunch, you have breakfast in the morning, and you have a light snack for dinner, which is 2 pieces of fruit for new students. Um, and the rationale behind that, I suppose, is to keep your stomach light because you can't overeat. The food is fantastic, by the way, and very nutritious. Um, but you don't want to overeat. And I was really conscious actually. Lunches were so yum that I wasn't overeating because then you just feel really lethargic in the afternoon and you can't effectively meditate and you can't concentrate either because you're just really bloated.
How was the sitting down for long periods of time?
I found that okay, but do you know why? 2 reasons. I think um me and you growing up, we've always had dinner sitting on the
Hmm.
floor.
Hmm.
So, just context for our listeners, Tejla and I, though we have a dining table at home, we never ever sat on the dining table, did we? Like only when we had guests around, probably. Um, we would sit on the floor and have dinner our whole life. So what is that, like 20, 25, 26 years, 28 years of doing that. And then I moved out and now I sit on the dining table. Um, but the fact we were doing a lot of sitting really helped. I mean, I wasn't sleeping on a bed until recently. Like I've been sleeping on a mattress for 3 years, and only recently we got a bed. And so just going up and down and having that movement was really helpful. And I do a lot of stretching, which really helped. Now, this isn't to say I never had any pain. I did have pain on certain sittings. Overall, I was able to sit fine, but there were sittings. Now, they were called aditans, I think. I might be saying it completely wrong. But basically, these from I think, was it day 4? Maybe no, maybe day 6. They were the 3 group sittings. They would advise you to aim not to change posture. So you want to do the whole 1 hour sitting in the same posture. So eyes closed, hands together, legs crossed or legs folded, right? Now, a couple of times you might feel like intense pain come up on your right thigh or your back or your leg or your knee or whatever. Now, the idea is when you feel that sensation, that instead of reacting to it, you are aware of it, but you observe it. So you become aware that this is a sensation I'm feeling. You just observe it. Yeah. And also understanding the impermanence of everything. So that's like one of the laws of nature, impermanence. So if a sensation has arisen, the sensation will go.
Did
But
it? Did it go?
it did go. It did. But when I say it went, like maybe after like half an hour, so you're literally practicing not reacting to that in your head through aversion. So, by aversion, I mean not being in your head saying, oh my goodness, this is so painful. I want this to go. Wanting something to go is aversion. So it's rather being like aware and just observing. That's it. Again, not verbalizing anything.
Hmm.
Really hard to do.
Hmm.
Equally, if you get a really nice sensation, they advise to avoid craving. That, oh, I love this sensation. I want more of these, tingly feelings or electric currents running through me, which I did feel at some stages. But you shouldn't crave those sensations either. So it's very much about learning to observe and not to react.
So if you were sitting there in one of those sittings where you were advised not to change posture, say you got like this itch that you just felt like you had to scratch. The whole idea is like you um resist the urge to scratch it, and you're just
Exactly.
basically just accepting it's there but not
Yeah,
reacting to it. That's
exactly.
hard. That sounds really
Yeah, but
hard.
you know what? It works. So
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
could be an itch, it could be like, yeah, like something you want to scratch or like
You're just could be I want
pain.
to rub my eye or or
Yeah,
like
anything like that. But also I will add that it's not about torturing yourself. So if you do need to change posture, that's fine. But say for the first sitting, you needed to change posture 10 times, the next sitting, you might aim for 9 times. Does that make sense? So,
right, okay.
it's for you to kind of work hard on yourself so that you have to work hard at this thing. It's not a retreat where, oh, I'm going to relax and then have a massage and then meditate and, none of that. It's like
Yeah.
you are there to solidly graft.
Yeah.
So, like mentally, by the end of the day, 9 p.m., I am exhausted,
Did you
like
sleep
straight to
well?
bed. Yeah, I slept. That's a really good question. I did sleep well. Um, Day 9, where I literally felt like my subconscious coming up and, things dissolving, impurities dissolving. That night, I had loads of nightmares, like loads. And I was thinking, oh gosh, is this my subconscious playing up? So that was weird. But again, one thing I've learned is don't overthink it, don't overanalyze it, just observe, accept, move on. Um, so that is one night that I did have nightmares.
Hey, are you enjoying this episode? If you are, you might love our monthly newsletter. It's where Nehal and I share podcast updates, community news, upcoming events, reflections, ideas, and some fun extras. You can sign up at the link in the show notes. Now, back to the conversation.
One thing I also actually think we should add for the listeners. So the purpose of Vipassana, the whole idea of Vipassana is that it is a meditation technique that was shared by the Buddha years ago, more than like 2,500 years ago. And the whole idea of it is to eradicate any impurities from your mind. So the impurities may be fear, anxiety, ego, greed, anger, and you want to get to the root level of these impurities and ultimately take these roots out to lead to full liberation at some stage, but really to make you a happier person who is creating less misery for themselves and for others around them. So that is the essence of Vipassana. And the way you do that is through this meditation technique, which is observing yourself. So it's self-observation and self-purification.
So do you think if we'd gone together, hypothetically, do you think your experience would have been different knowing that you were there with somebody you knew? Like, or it could be a
I think
friend or
so,
something.
because in the meditation hall, I'd be like, oh, what's she doing? I'd be looking at you. Or in the grounds, because you see everyone in the grounds, right? There's beautiful grounds, by the way, gorgeous grounds that they've maintained really well, woodland, like little rabbits hopping around, squirrels. It's so beautiful. Um, I don't think I would have been fully present if I
Yeah.
knew someone there.
Hmm.
There were actually some people who, like, their husband was in the male section doing the course,
Hmm.
or their friend was in the male section doing the course. Um, so I can see that working maybe, but again, you may be distracted. And the whole point of this is you're minimizing any distractions.
Hmm. So did you
So for
find it?
me, it wouldn't have worked.
So did you find at any point you were like craving connection or connection by, by speaking to people, your phone, or, being connected to the outside world? Did you ever feel, like curious about, oh, I wonder what's going on outside, like in the real world?
Do you know, no, I didn't miss my phone. I didn't
Amazing.
miss social media. I didn't miss my family from day 2 because I was like, I've signed up for this. I have volunteered for this. So I'm not going to sit here and miss anyone. I also felt, yeah, I just felt like, yeah, I was actually fine. And also, it was interesting to see how my brain worked. Like there were so many women, right? And though you can't speak to them, I was already forming a personality of them in my mind. So there was like one girl that really reminded me of Sabrina, and I messaged Sabrina as well. Like I was like, Sabs, she really reminded me of you, this one girl. And I was thinking, oh gosh, their hair's the same, their build's the same, and you know, so you Sabrina, she's so sunny, she's got so like she's just sunshine basically. And I was thinking, oh, I wonder if she's into similar things to Sabs, or you know, it's
Is this
funny how
during
your
the
brain works.
meditation? Because it sounds like.
No, not during the meditation. And then there was this one lady, she was so stylish. And I was like, oh, wow, she's so stylish. And you're just like, oh, what's she wearing the next day? Like, it's just so interesting how your brain starts to
Make stories.
make stories, but also you feel like you know everyone, even though you're in silence.
Yeah.
The other thing that was really interesting was how important moral support is. So remember, no one's saying to each other, keep going, keep going. I'm equally, you know, really struggling here. But the two girls that were sitting either side of me, you really start to form this silent connection because you might be meditating and you might hear them shuffling because, you know, they're in pain or, um, you know, you might hear one of them crying, you might be getting a bit emotional, and you just feel for them
Hmm.
and you're just there. And like I remember one group sitting, one of them wasn't here yet, and it's like 5 to 8. And I'm like, oh, where is she? Is she coming? Where is she? So you really begin to form this solidarity with the meditators around you, and you almost carry each other through. So that was really interesting. And we talk a lot about human connection. And it was interesting to see how I still felt connected to people, even though I wasn't talking to them and I was just in their presence. And at the end of the course, both the girls sitting next to me, I literally, one of them I saw first and I went and I like ran up to her. This is when we were allowed to start talking. And I tapped her on the shoulder and she turned around and she just gave me the biggest hug. And we both
Oh,
just said, thank you. Like, thank you for being there and like not leaving because it's like so hard. And it was such a reassuring presence to have those girls there.
yeah. It gives you a
Um,
bit of a sense of like consistency and
yes. Yes.
familiarity and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
That's
felt
really
like the back
interesting.
row was like my crew, you know, back
Yeah.
row crew. I was like, my girls checking on them. They're all in line. Yep, this is great.
So, do
So
you
that
want to
was
share any personal revelations?
um yes, I would love to. Um, where do I begin? I think I have realized that, and I know this isn't just a me thing, but I have realized I spend a lot of energy worrying about things, and that drains me. And I've realized that we create a lot of misery for ourselves in our minds, which we don't have to create. We can let go of. We often create scenarios in our mind, whether it be worst case scenarios, whether it be, you know, thinking all the 100,000 possibilities that could happen when you do something. We create these imaginary scenarios in our mind and we react to those, whether it be reacting with worry, whether it be reacting with another emotion. But I have really realized that I spend a lot of energy where I don't need to, and it genuinely exhausts me. Genuinely. So that's a really, really big takeaway. And I share that not lightly, but I share that because I really think that, well, I know for a fact because I've spoken with other people, but I know that that does happen for a lot of people. Um, and I think that's important to say as a takeaway. The other takeaway is it's given me a newfound sense of confidence that actually, you know what, I can do hard things. Like I can do it. Okay, I might be crying at some points, I might hate it at some points, but I will do it. I'm resourceful, I'm powerful, I will stick it out, I will do it. And it's really been really good for me in that sense because outwardly I'm very confident, right? We both are. Um, but I think this has helped me internally, if that makes sense, with my
Yeah.
self-confidence and self-belief that, do you know, when things get hard, I can still deal with it.
Hmm.
So that was really, really powerful for me. The other thing I realized is we all talk too much.
Did
Like we do. We over communicate. Like sometimes I feel like what needs to be said doesn't need always need that many words. So that's another thing I realized of just be mindful when I'm speaking.
hmm
Um, because talking takes a lot of energy. So on day 10 in the afternoon, well, no, after the morning meditation, they open the silence because, it acted like a bit of a shock absorber before you go out into the real world. And I remember not even being able to talk because I hadn't talked for so long. I just couldn't get a word out. And then when I got a word out, everyone starts talking to each other. Like it's really great. We all start talking about our experiences. After an hour of talking, I had to retreat to my room, shut the door, and lie down in bed. I was genuinely exhausted, and I realized talking is tiring, really tiring. So that was another takeaway. Um, yeah, I think those are the main ones.
what they allow you to start speaking and communicating verbally before you leave the program.
Yeah.
What was the transition like after um, you finished to then easing yourself back into day-to-day life?
I think for me, I didn't give myself much space to process things because I came out on Sunday morning, so we finished at 6:30 a.m. I left Dhammadippa around 8. Took me about 3 hours and a bit to come home. So 11:30 I was home. And then Monday I was back at work seeing patients. So I kind of just went with the flow, but I did notice I was different. I was different because I was calmer. I was worrying less. I was speaking more mindfully. And it's difficult to explain, but you just feel a bit of a difference internally. You feel a bit of a shift.
That's interesting. Did you feel like you wanted to be back there? Like on the Monday when you went to work and you're seeing patients and back into like normal life, did you ever feel like, oh, I wish I was still in my little bubble again? This is too much. Or did you sort of be like, okay, well, that was the program and that's done and now I'm here? How was that for you?
Do you know, it's funny because my patient's like, oh, where were you last week? What are you doing? And then so I was talking about Vipassana with my patients. So I felt like I was back there and I kept hearing the gong. They ring the gong when it's like close to the meditation time. So I kept hearing that. So that was interesting. Um, but I did realize how overstimulated we are every single day. And there were times in the Vipassana course where I used to say to myself, Nahal, this is an incredible moment because you are free right now from any responsibility. You are free from anyone messaging you, anyone calling you, anything from any aspect of my professional life and personal life. And every single moment was for me. And once you're back out in the real world, you have your worldly responsibilities, you have your professional responsibilities, and it is really overwhelming. You don't realize how overstimulated you constantly are. So having that 10 days then was like, wow, I can't believe that this is how overstimulated I am
Would
because you've
you
experienced like very limited thoughts.
hmm, would you want to go back?
Do you know, if you asked me on day 10, I would have been like, nope, 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 nope. But now I would consider going back, and I'll make a point to say that any new student who wants to try Vipassana has to do the 10-day course. But once you're an old student, which means you've done the course and you've left, and you want to come back, there are so many options. You could do a 3-day course, you could do part of a 10-day course. There's so many different things you can do. I would love to go back. You could even go back and be a server, so help in the kitchen. And it's all based on donations, right? You don't pay for Vipassana, by the way. You donate at the end of the course if you want to. Even that's not compulsory, and you can donate however much you have a capacity to. So that's a really, really important thing to say, actually. So basically, the whole center runs on donations and the voluntary service of servers.
Okay, so say someone's okay, before I ask that question, is who is Vipassana for, in your opinion?
Everyone, because everyone has a mind and everyone will have impurities, and everyone needs to cultivate a balanced, equanimous mind. And I kept telling myself, this is why I'm here. I want a more balanced, equanimous mind. I want to be able to make decisions with clarity, even if I'm feeling overwhelmed. How do you do that? You have to train yourself.
But I mean, what if, like, you go on this experience and you have a lot of stuff that comes up for you and you're in silence and by yourself? Like, how are you just expected to manage it, deal with it on your own?
So you have the opportunity to have interviews with the teacher every day. So in the morning, you can sign up. So I often used to, if I had questions, or so say if something came up like that, in that scenario, it'd probably be wise to sign up for an interview where you can write your name down in between 12 and 1. The teacher sees you on an individual one-to-one basis and talk it through with them. So you
Okay.
do have a point of contact where you can ask questions, whether it be about the technique, whether it be about what you're doing and how you're finding it. So I spoke about verbalizing before, that actually I was verbalizing a lot. And I only realized that when I was in the interview with my teacher, that actually I need to not do this.
Do you think, I mean, you've been doing a lot of self-work over the last, few years, and I guess perhaps maybe some of that would have geared you up to doing this experience, as in, making you sort of open and kind of perhaps you built up your toolkit to be able to manage things. If somebody, for example, is just so, like, okay, this sounds interesting, I want to go for it. Like, would you tell people to do any form of preparation before going on something like this?
No, I don't know how you'd prepare. I think you have to. The thing I've realized is you have to be put in that environment to calm your conscious mind down and get rid of all your distractions, and then it lets your unconscious, subconscious mind come up to the surface. There's no real preparation you can do before that. A lot of the people I spoke to at the end, I used to ask them, what inspired you to come on the course? And a lot of people said, my friend did it and said it was really good. They hadn't read anything online. That was like me. I purposely didn't read anything online because I was like, I don't want to have expectations that I'm going to have this sensation or that sensation, or this day's going to be great for me and that day's going to be the worst. Um, Personally, I did no preparation and that was great. The only preparation, if you wanted to do, is if you have a preferred meditation pillow that you use, or you have specific requirements, obviously let the center know, um, and take your pillow, your special pillow.
Fine. Um, Gosh, that sounds like a really, really unique experience. And I think that was the thing I thought you might say. Actually, it's for certain people. If you're like, I thought I actually genuinely thought you'd be like, there's certain people this is not suited for. But you're really much advocating that this is actually something
I
that
think so. I
anyone
think
could really
unless
go
you,
on.
do you know, unless you try it, you don't know. Like, okay,
Also,
I
can we
also
just
told
mention?
myself, right? What the worst case, I leave, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
not going to think less of myself. I'm not going to judge myself. If I leave, I leave.
I think you have to go into these things with like an open heart and with an open mind, and just not have any expectations of what's going to happen, but just take it as it comes, and that's all part of being present, I suppose. And I just wanted to mention also, like, is it a Buddhist center, and your is it sort of like a secular thing, so you don't need to belong to a particular faith or none, like, to attend this?
Yeah, so it's completely not to do with like religious stuff. It's non-sectarian. I think that's the phrase that they use.
Okay.
So it's not like a, like a religious rite or a ritual. There's none of that. It's suitable for anyone of any faith. It's a completely neutral, non-sectarian, I think that's the word, meditation technique.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Gosh, thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure.
I'm sure it would have been incredibly valuable for any curious listeners about what is involved, and just, from your recent experience. And I really hope that you go forth. And actually, that's a question. Are there anything that you've taken that you're taking forward now? Like anything, like apart from
Um,
the revelations and stuff that you had, but is there anything, say, practical that you've tweaked in your routine or life?
so I've actually just ordered a special meditation cushion for myself, which has arrived today.
Ooh,
They advise that you need to maintain your meditation. So they advise 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, um, to maintain your meditation. And there's also meditation sittings that happen across the country hosted by various Vipassana meditators. And I sent you the link this morning. There's one quite close to my house, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'd love to do a group sitting because I think the energy when because in the course there are times where you meditate in your room or you can go to the hall, and then you have the compulsory sittings in the hall. When you're group meditating as part of a group, there is a different energy,
100%. Yeah.
right? It's like prayer, right?
Yes.
Um, so I would love to do those sittings as well, which are hosted locally
Hmm.
once a week. Um, I think mentally, it's been a lot about not reacting, trying not to go back to my old habit patterns of, I need to do this at this time and this at this time, and I need to be this early to work, and I need to do this, 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 in this order. It's about being less rigid, and it's about being like, okay, yeah, I'll get to work when I get to work. I'll do this whenever. It's about I'll get things done that need to get done, but I'm not going to be like, go, 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 go. I will work efficiently and get things done.
Hmm.
But I think there was always this urgency with me that,
Hmm.
like this. And now I'm just a lot calmer and I'll still get it done whilst saving a lot of mental energy, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
without the kind of apprehension associated
Yes,
with it. I think you've
yes.
had a little dose of chill out. What do you call it? Like a little, like a
A little dose of Vipassana.
Yeah, no, like it gives like a little chill pill. That's the one I was
A
looking
chill
for.
pill, yeah.
In
A
your
chill pill.
case, some like IV shot of like a chill pill. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, because you just you just stop reacting and you just get acting. You just get on with it.
is
You just
there
take
is there
action.
any, if you had to give yourself, if you were, going to Vipassana tomorrow, what one thing would you, would you do differently, or like would you, you know, yeah, would if anything, if you're doing it again?
Oof, that's hard. I don't think I'd do anything differently.
That's fine. That's okay.
I think I would just tell myself that it will be hard. There'll be moments where you really, really don't want to be there, but don't quit.
Hmm.
Just don't
No.
quit.
And actually, on a totally different note, I remember, so I signed up to a scuba diving course a few years ago, and I was curious. I was really curious, and actually, I
Mm.
was very anti the whole scuba thing, because actually I was very fearful of being reliant on this oxygen tank, and if that oxygen tank messed up, that's it. You're gone. And so I was like, nah, not for me. And somebody I spoke to, it's interesting how these conversations spark something, right? So like you'd spoken to people who'd been there, and you were just like, oh wow, this sounds interesting. So somebody spoke to me about their scuba diving experience, and how you're kind of like completely by yourself, in the sense you can't, again, in a weird way, you can't verbally communicate even if you're around people, right? You're just you and your, whatever they call it, regulator, whatever, and you can hear your breathing, and stuff underwater, and it's just this, it's the way she described it sounded like a very kind of almost peaceful meditative experience. And I was like, oh, never really thought of it that way. But whatever she said and however she described her experience made me curious to the point I was like, right, I have this opportunity and I'm just going to try it. So I signed up to the PADI thing, which is the scuba
I
qualification.
forgot you did Paddy.
Yeah, I know. I did, and because it's like a course, it's a course, right? So
Yeah.
I signed up to it, paid for it, and I rock up on the first day, and it's in the pool. So I thought this was going to be a piece of cake, and I wouldn't go as far as saying it was a total breeze, but it was very doable. But I didn't enjoy it. I actually, not one part of me enjoyed it, and I was a bit like, you know what, my head and brain was telling me, Tejal, I don't think you're cut out for this. Like, what? Like, I don't want. And I had, I was very close to being like, sod it, like, not for me. I'd give it a go. But then, I don't know, maybe that part of me was like, oh, well, you paid for the course, so then at least, like, go on the dives. And then I went the next day on the dive, and it was totally different. Like, the whole experience was, I mean, not from the pool and into the open water was like completely different. And I guess you're surrounded by this incredible sea life, underwater life. What's the word?
Sea creatures.
Yeah, just like this whole universe under the sea that I've never really known about other than in watching David Attenborough and his documentaries, and you're just like, this is insane. Anyways, and I'm just like, do you know what? I keep telling myself that I'm so glad I stuck it out in order for me to appreciate those benefits. And I think this just goes with a lot of things, a lot of hard things, a lot of uncomfortable things, that actually sometimes giving yourself the chance of sticking it out when it's not great can lead you to experiencing something incredible and something beautiful. So not giving up and persevering, I think, is really important. Really, really important. But hey, if you did decide to say that challenge is not working or not happening and you changed your mind, and like there's no hard or fast rules.
Yeah.
It's,
Give
so
yourself
be
some grace.
so be it. Yeah,
Sometimes I do think that, this year was the right year for me to do this.
yeah.
And it's not, it just all works out.
I think
Put it
that's,
to the
I think,
universe.
yeah, and I think there
It
is an
just
element
works
of
out.
alignment, right? Like, I feel like Vipassana has been something loosely on my radar for a while. It's been on something like I've been wanting to try, but I've not really taken the steps to make it happen, or I've not
Hmm.
actively, tried to make it happen. It's just like, oh yeah, it's an idea. Like, it'll be nice to do that one day. Um, and I guess, yeah, there has to be certain things that kind of nudge you to make it happen. So
Yep.
yeah, Nehal, thank you so much for coming on and jumping on here and chatting to your experience. I'm sure maybe we can do another like touch base, or we can touch base few months down the line and see whether you're still reaping the benefits of it, or where you are with your sort of Nehal post Vipassana.
Nehal 2.0.
Yeah, Nehal 2.0.
I mean, listen, you're not going to come out a changed person completely, but you might. But no pressure or no expectation is what I would say.
Yeah, but it's nice to be able to even it can be a teeny tiny transformation,
Exactly.
and that can be sometimes it's just
Yeah.
a small aha
Which I
moment.
have had small
Yeah,
changes, which I have felt in an amazing way within my body. And yeah, no, thank you for having me on the
and
pod.
yes, go and enjoy, be zen. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to hit follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and to hit subscribe on YouTube so that you never miss a new one. It really helps if you rate and review the show, and if you found this episode valuable, share it with a friend, family member, or colleague. We appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.